You know, I play a lot of MMOs, from World of Warcraft, Dragonflight, Classic, WoW, ESO, Guild Wars 2, sometimes old school RuneScape, Star Wars: The Old Republic, you name it, I play it. And you know, there's another MMO on the horizon, a big MMO, an MMO that everybody's been losing their minds over, saying it's gonna be the one, it's gonna be the WoW killer, it's gonna be the greatest MMO ever made by the hands of man. And you know what? It's for this exact reason that never really checked it out that much. You know what I'm talking about. It's called Ashes of Creation. Long ago, when I was a young children, I was playing World of Warcraft, and every other year it seemed a new MMO was coming out saying, this is going to be the one. This is going to be the one to dethrone WoW. It's going to be the next World of Warcraft experience. Millions of people are going to be hooked on it. So many people are going to play it. And you know, so many of those MMOs came and they went. Everything from Warhammer Online to WildStar. It came and it's gone. Needless to say, I have sort of fallen into the sort of category of gamer that doesn't really believe that World of Warcraft can be dethroned. And even if it is dethroned temporarily, like that whole Final Fantasy fiasco that recently happened, it's only temporarily. World of Warcraft is just gonna come right back with some sort of expansion or some update or some new way to play the game, and it's just gonna be the #1 MMO in the world again. But here comes Ashes of Creation, a game that is really going to change the landscape, and I want to talk a little bit about it today and whether or not I'm going to check it out. So let's quickly go through all the big features that is coming out with Ashes of Creation, and I'm going to share my quick thoughts on all of them as a big MMO no-life veteran. First of all, we got the dynamic world. The world of Ashes of Creation is a dynamic, player-driven, world. Cities will rise and fall as players interact with said world, and quests and secrets will unlock as populations grow and their needs begin to grow. One of the things that's interesting about Ashes of Creation, at least I think so, is just this idea of this very dynamic world, in that as players go and populate an area, and as they do quests and as they construct things, they can actually create little villages, like little hamlets, towns, and eventually these things can become cities. And these cities and these towns and stuff can be destroyed and knocked down. This is an idea that I actually had for an MMO a long time ago, back when I was very young, so seeing it being brought to life is really cool. The only thing that I'm worried about is lag. Player versus player. Ashes of Creation features a robust PvP system. Players can battle each other in open world areas, in player versus player arenas, or in guild versus guild wars. I'm a big fan of PvP in MMOs. I'm actually a really big fan of PvP. And the thing is that I love trying out new MMOs that introduce these new ways to do PvP, either in the open world or in like these instanced areas. But the biggest problem with MMO PvP is that the moment that you start introducing massively multiplayer online player versus player events, you sort of just end up with a ton of lag. Before going any further in the video, this is my biggest problem with Ashes of Creation, or my biggest worry. There's so much stuff that Ashes of Creation is going to offer in terms of being able to interact with the world and like dynamic seasons, little details like that, being able to like take down player cities and stuff. But I just worry, like, is server technology at the point where this is even possible? Like, yeah, sure, they can put out a video like showcasing that, oh yeah, check this out, like look at, you know, like these players, like these 32 players doing this event, and look at them tearing down these castle walls or engaging in this event. But I sit here and wonder, like, well, what happens when there's like 3,200 players running around doing this? What happens when you have 5,000 players like engaged in this zone running around doing this? That's where I get concerned, because I don't know if server technology is able to support such an ambitious idea. Now, I certainly hope that it does. I mean, you know, when I jumped into Elder Scrolls Online for the first time, doing Cyrodiil World PvP was awesome, but I have to admit, sometimes when the battles got a little too big and a little too ridiculous, it just turned into a giant FPS drop. And same with other games that have attempted this like sort of giant world versus world stuff. Like, it's a great idea, it would be amazing, but we just have dealt with tons of lag and frame drops and all this crap over the years, and so you kind of end up a little disappointed. Now with this video, I don't want to go into all like the little details in regards to Ashes of Creation's combat system. I'll just say that I think it's interesting that they're doing sort of a mix of, you know, your action combat MMO as well as your tab target MMO. And what we've seen of the combat system so far, at least what I've seen, has looked really cool. especially when utilizing this combat system against world bosses that wander around out in the open world. I can only imagine what it's like doing this sort of stuff in dungeons, or using these abilities and using these character layouts in dungeons and raids. I think that Ashes of Creation is not going to lack on the PvE side of things. That's not where I'm worried about this game in the slightest. Aside from PvP though, one of the things that I actually really appreciate in Ashes of Creation is what they're calling the life skill system. So not everybody wants to engage in this sort of dynamic, ever-changing world of guilds fighting each other and players murdering one another. They want to engage more in just kind of the simplicity side of an MMO. So you have a small full of life skills that you can potentially pursue as a player in this game, making you more of a peaceful player, such as being a farmer, a fisherman, a herbalist, a lumberjack, a miner, or even getting into animal taming. There's of course a lot of crafting in Ashes of Creation: alchemy, armor smithing, blacksmithing, carpentry, cooking, jewel crafting, scribing, shipbuilding, siege weapon building, and weaponsmithing. The one thing that I'll say about Ashes of Creation is in regards to its node system contributing to the ever-changing world, in regards to the game offering to players everything from being able to be this PvP warlord almost, going around and conquering territory with your guild, to just being a simple hobbit-like farmer living in the mountains, just trying to grow your own crops on your own land. This MMO is definitely going to feel like a proper world, I think. And this is leading me to my big conclusion. The thing is, when I play an MMO, and this is just me speaking, and maybe some people out there are going to agree with me in the comments section, maybe. And forgive me if I go on a little bit of a rant here, I apologize, but this is kind of a rant and my thoughts video. When it comes to an MMORPG, when I play an MMO, I am playing primarily for the immersive aspect of the MMO. When I play a massively multiplayer online role-playing game, I want to be pulled out of this world, right? And I want to be sucked into the world of the MMO. I like MMOs that allow me to be the character that I truly want to be, whether that character is the meta or not the meta. The thing that I really love when it comes to these sorts of games is the RPG experience of being able to make a new character and live that character how I desire to live him. Whether that be leveling up as a mage or something, going throughout the world and doing quests, speccing into fire, for example, and at the same time being an alchemist and an herbalist, that's a lot of fun. You can just kind of be whoever you want to be. Or in Elder Scrolls Online, it's cool being able to say, you know what, I want to be a rogue who heals people while using my daggers, who's also, let's say, a staff user who can use sorcerer spells, like shooting lightning at people. Whatever fantasy you want to fulfill, you're able to fulfill it in the MMO that you're playing. But the problem is that over the years, at least for me, MMOs have of course been very limited in their technology and their capabilities of what exactly you can do as a player in the MMO. Or sometimes you'll encounter a game, like an online game, that does give you the tools to play whatever you want to play as, but there's no reason or benefit for you to choose that path. For example, if you're leveling up a brand new character in Dragonflight and you're a level 5 orc running around in Durotar, there's no reason for you to pick up blacksmithing and mining because all the gear that you're going to make is completely useless. There is no reason to pursue the fantasy of being that warrior who smelts his own armor and weapons, because every quest that you get is going to give you gear 10 times better than the gear that you can craft, and that sucks. Compare that to a game like Star Wars Galaxies, for example, where you can pick up any profession you want. This is pre-combat upgrade, and any profession that you get, from beast handling to being a medic to being an entertainer, it's all worth picking up, and it allows you to be the kind of character that you want to be. Like, oh, I'm an entertainer slash medic, for example. Or, hey, I'm a beast tamer and an entertainer on the side or something, whatever. So why am I talking about all this? Well, the thing is that Ashes of Creation to me looks like it could potentially be the ultimate immersive MMO. Being able to go out into a new zone with a group of players and actually populate that zone, build towns, build cities, go to war with other guilds, conquer land, and so on and so forth. Being able to be a simple farmer, or being able to be a warlord, going throughout the world, just conquering nations left and right, or cities or whatever. This sounds incredible from an immersion standpoint. This is exactly what you know, what someone like me is looking for. It's just, I guess I'm a little practical in all my years having played MMOs, that I'm a bit worried about server stability, and I'm also worried a bit about like how well balanced this is all going to be, especially if you have like a big streamer playing Ashes of Creation, running around with some big ass army behind him, just knocking down every single city and establishing the country of Asmongolia or something. I don't know. Like, how well balanced is the entirety of Ashes of Creation going to be? I don't know. But the minor details, from the player customization, being able to make your own class pretty much. I want to be a necromancer, like 100%. Being able to be a simple farmer in the woods or something. Like, I'm already like creating fantasies in my mind of like, oh man, like I really want to be that necromancer who, like, maybe he's so powerful that he's retreated from society and he's living as a simple farmer far away from everybody. Like, that sounds cool to me. It's like, oh yeah, you know, like I'm forming those fantasies already. So the game is inspiring that. I just worry that maybe Ashes of Creation is a little too ambitious, but I guess we'll find out when the game comes out.